the other semifinal being played in Atlanta at the Peach Bowl. Number one Georgia has the number four Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State getting here was not a shock. I think the way that they got here absolutely was by the end of the year. Defense
Yeah.
had made strides all year long. You got CJ Stroud coming back. Dude played well, as he typically does throughout the year. Jackson Smith and Jigba was down. It didn't matter. You get Marvin Harrison Jr. playing out of his mind. Emeka Ibuka doing his thing. Run game was up and down throughout the year, but then you get to the Michigan game, and that's kind of where the wheels fell off, both mentally and physically for this football team. And now they got a second chance at it. And I was at media days earlier this week, and from talking to the team, the things that you hear, nobody believes that we can do it. We got nothing to lose in this football game. They don't think we belong here. Nobody's picking us to win. And I'll say, just off the mentality, it's a really dangerous place for a team to be, because when you feel counted out and destitute and like you don't have anything to lose with that amount of talent, and you put together a
Mhm.
game plan like you don't have anything to lose, that is dangerous.
It's very dangerous, and that's a point that I made as well, and I continue to make I saw a graphic about Ohio State's talent in terms of stars.
Yep.
They're right there with Georgia. They're a top three roster in the country, top four roster in the country as it pertains to straight up talent. What separates the Ohio States from the others, in my opinion, is the way they develop that talent and the way that the culture forces that talent to get on the bus or get up out of there. And they don't miss often with these guys. You don't accrue that much talent. You don't have guys in waiting without a very sturdy culture. And like you said, this isn't a fucking chihuahua backed in the corner. This is a full-fledged thoroughbred gorilla, silverback gorilla backed into a corner.
Yep.
And when you piss that off top to bottom, it's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. And that's why I'm really intrigued, man. I picked these guys to win the national championship early in the year. I picked these guys to beat Georgia last night, and I fully expect this to be an absolute slugfest. Probably the best college football game of the year, in my opinion, if Ohio State comes out and plays the way that I think they're going to.
Yep.
Um, and it's I think it's something that us as college football fans really need to sit back, analyze it from that angle, and enjoy it.
No doubt. And I've got that graphic pulled up that you were talking about. Georgia is number two nationally in terms of team talent. 15 5 stars, 53 4 stars, 17 3 stars. Ohio State is number three overall in terms of total roster talent. They've got 14 5 stars, so one less 5 star. They've got 52 4 stars, so one less 4 star. And they've got 16 3 stars, so one less 3 star. Like this, these are evenly matched teams as you start to dig into the talent. And I think that's an important factor that a lot of people, the way that they talk about this game, just because of what happened to Ohio State
Mhm.
against Michigan, is they've removed that element of, okay, well, what happens if you get it right with talent that is equated to Georgia, because we're so used to talking about Georgia in a way that they're matching up with teams that aren't nearly as talented as them. So
Yeah.
it'll certainly be interesting. I think the mental edge plays a huge part in this one too. I try to obviously take my Ohio State glasses off and look at this critically, and there are challenges everywhere on the football field for either side of this game. Like I look at Georgia's secondary, and I think that they are great but not elite, and I think Ohio State's got an elite pass game. So is there an advantage there? I look at Georgia's front though, and I say Ohio State ain't gonna have an easy day trying to run the football into the teeth of that defense. I look at Ohio State's defense and I say, okay, 90% of what I viewed this year was really good defense. It was 10% god awful. But when I look at the body of work that Georgia's put together on offense, where are the great defenses that they played this year? They
Yeah.
played Kentucky, who's top 25 defense, and they struggled in that game. Missouri's got a top 35 defense or something like that, and they struggled in that football game. But largely, they played average defenses for a lot of the year, and so I think that there's a balancing out that happens for either team, where Ohio State's going to have opportunities, but I think it's going to be a little bit one dimensional. They're probably not going to look like the number 2 scoring offense for a majority of that football game because they're playing a
Yeah.
great Georgia defense. I also think that Georgia is going to feel more resistance in this football game than they have felt in a long time when they have the football as well.
Yep.
And that's where I think the beauty of this game comes out is when you put these top dogs in an arena and you unleash them, you are going to hopefully see a football game that is like, man, it's not going to be fireworks everywhere, and hopefully it's not going to be lopsided. Like, you're going to see a legitimate fight here, and I think that's the beauty in having a matchup like this.
And that's where you said that edge, right? You got one team that's been eating straight Purina Gold Blend, and then you got another team that's been eating fucking JOR PB and J's, right? For the past since the Michigan game. So to your point, you got equal beasts. One's hungry and one probably is hungry, but probably isn't as hungry as the other, right? The one thing I want to ask you though, because I thought about this as well, right? When you look at Ohio State, defensively, what's killed them has been piss poor tackling and taking chances.
Yes.
Taking chances. And you said it's part of Jim Knowles' DNA. You and I have talked about this before. Do you think that Ohio State is going to look at that, understanding what they have offensively and understanding that this is a win or go home situation and they have a very, very good opportunity in front of them? Do you think that they're going to dial that back a little bit, or do you think that they're going to live and die by the sword of Jim Knowles' philosophy?
See, Jim Knowles is a gambler as a play caller, but I think it's got to be fully calculated in this football game. And there's no shot that he's not going to be aggressive, but I think the aggression has to come in the right spots. And then when you dial it up, this is not to point fingers at Jim Knowles, not to point fingers at players, but like when coach dials it up, like if you're a safety and or a corner, you know that you got no help over the top, and they dial up a blitz and they throw it out to your man, basketball him, you body position him, give a little time for pursuit. But the last thing that you can do is miss a tackle and, guys getting a free run at the end zone. That's a really tough spot to be in. So I think that the game plan stays aggressive just because I think that's who Jim Knowles is. I'd like to see a little bit more of a calculated approach to it. Like on a 3rd and 7, I don't think you need to run all out. You can blitz, like that's perfectly fine, but running zero coverage on 3rd and 7 to me is a fool's errand because that's not the situation where you need to be all out.
That's a great point, because when you watch them and you watch these games and you go back and you look at the situations that some of those chances and those rolls of the dice came, they very easily could have held it and said, you know what, hey, let's play coverage here. Let's see what they can do. And on first down, they're a heavy run team. Let's dial something up and try and get them behind the sticks, right? Or something like that. There's ways where you can do it. And obviously, like you said, there's that gut feeling on those 3rd and 4s where, hey, maybe they got something dialed up here where they're looking to take a shot. Let's go after them here. You know what I mean? So you have to have that fine balance. And it's really interesting to me. And I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to that because I know it's counterintuitive, but I gotta wonder if Ryan Day's been in Jim Knowles' ear during this entirely too long amount of time for them to prepare. You know how coaches are and how neurotic they can get. If he hasn't been in their ear just about that timing and really feeling something before you just fire from the hip with the 6-shooter. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Because ultimately, I think that's what cost them in a few of these games, and specifically the Michigan game. Right? Let's just cut through the bullshit there. 5 plays totaling like 300 something yards. You can't have
349.
So,
Yeah, it's that's it for me. Is the chance has to be the right one.
Right.
If you can say, listen, if they throw it for 7 yards on 3rd and 7 from their own 35, like, all right, well, let's play football. Because my thought process is, after watching tape of Ohio State this year, teams aren't just driving the football down the field. They're not taking long 7-minute drives. Like I think Michigan put one of those super long drives together the whole football game. Like the formula to beating Ohio State isn't let's drive the football field. It's okay, when they dial that thing up, we got to cash in on it. So very curious about how that's going to play out.